Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to this particular podcast. I'm lucky enough to have Matt Dirr on here. Matt is the GM and CEO of Cenco Roofing. Matt, how long have you been playing this game in the roofing business?
Oh boy, I've been in the roofing business, Sean, for 24 years.
24 years. I
Yeah,
mean, what got you?
and I have, yeah.
Yeah, my hair is waving. It's waving goodbye. So I understand time shows eventually, but you look good. So tell me, how did you get into roofing and the roofing activity?
Graduate school, and I anticipated being in the tech sector. And then in the early 2000s, the tech sector took a little bit of a dive.
Yeah.
Found myself without a job, and a friend of mine who I'd gone to school with said, "How about construction? I know of an outfit that is hiring roofing sales guys."
Right.
I said, "I know nothing about construction." He said, "Bear with me." And I did. And there were about 8 of us that traveled and worked together. We went in the after natural disasters. And that was really productive and really profitable. And we did that. I did that for about 9 years. And like most things, people started to peel away. They got married. They settled down. 9 years later, I looked around and it was only myself and another guy still on the road. And so at the time, I said, well, I needed to do maybe something a little bit different. I met my wife and we settled down in Denver. I worked for an outfit here in Denver for a while, and then decided that I wanted to hang out my own shingle and see what I could do to help customers in the front range market.
Very good. And then I asked you, just before we actually started this podcast, how did you get the name Cenco? It's actually pretty simple, but I like it. Do you mind sharing?
It's tough to come up with a name for a company when it isn't taken already. Cenco is Central Colorado. And so that wasn't taken. And I'm fortunate to be married to a graphic designer. And so she was able to design a logo and away we went.
Excellent. So you've been in the business for 24 years. So you've had to overcome challenges along the way. Can you recall the early days to now and what you've had to kind of rise above when you grew your business?
Sure. At the end of the day, I think this is not uncommon for all business owners, is you go from an entrepreneurial phase where everything is related to your own efforts and you hire some people, but the strength and the resilience of the business is still related to your own efforts. And people that have worked with you want to continue to work with you. And that is a challenge that has to be overcome by putting systems in place that replicate reasonably well, one hopes, the efforts that you've put in so that you can start to leverage that activity with a team of people and continue to help customers solve their problems.
Very good. Very good. So what kind of structure do you have in the company? And certainly you're at the helm, but production managers, other different types of key positions?
We're very small. We have a production manager. I have a senior administrator. We have a sales manager overseeing our sales team.
Mm-hmm.
And we utilize technology to help us to gain efficiencies so that we're able to sustain and grow the business.
Very good. Very good. And one of the things that we talked about in kind of a pre-podcast interview was that you have quite a bit of background understanding the various insurance nuances that kind of come into play when it comes to developing or building a roof or putting a system in place that's going to benefit the homeowner handsomely. Can you share anything about that?
Well, sure. First, I'm in Denver, Colorado, and I can say that Denver is one of the 3 most sophisticated or saturated markets in the country. Minneapolis, DFW, and Denver. There are approximately 7,000 roofers across the full range. And we have a high preponderance of hail events. What that does is it creates, first of all, a lot of noise for consumers. You can throw a baseball in Denver and not hit a roofing truck. And so how to differentiate good roofing companies from fly-by-night companies. We also need to prepare our homeowners for the type and the recurrence of hail events. And so in this market in particular, there's a preponderance of class 4 impact-resistant shingles. And we strongly recommend the customers that we work with invest in those shingles. And it used to be, Sean, that I'd be able to say, hey, this shingle will get you 10, 15, 20 years the next time, so you'll have to replace it. Now what I say to customers is, what I'm trying to do is help you to avoid 2, 3, 4, 5 times having to spend your deductible to have your roof replaced.
Right.
As the insurance market has evolved and gotten more expensive for people, their deductibles have risen. And so we used to see a $50, $100 deductible. Now we see 2, 3, 4% of the value of the home. I met with someone recently who had a $32,000 deductible.
Oh, sure.
The replacement cost of $35,000 in our market. It's not recommended at that point that you utilize insurance when you're looking at the replacements. So we tried to help customers over the years to prepare for that expense.
Smart, smart. I'm from Florida, so Florida we've got our hurricanes, and I moved into a house many years back, and 3 weeks later, a hurricane hit, tree fell on the house. Didn't do a whole lot of damage, but I called my insurance company, and they're like taking all the data, and they said, "Now, are you aware of the hurricane deductible?" No, $22,500 was the hurricane deductible. So it was like, just pretend I didn't call, and I'll take care of this.
Well, and many times the customers are always trained to contact the insurance company first, which is not a bad thing. But you need to look at the process in terms of risk mitigation and what is going to be the outcome for you as the homeowner. And that really requires working with somebody who can inform you so that you don't make any missteps.
Right. I mean, I don't know if this is true, so I'll just throw it out and you can correct me. But if you have the insurance company appraiser guy coming in to kind of get an idea of the damage, do they tend to lowball what's there so that they might have to put out less to fix something?
Well, necessarily say it's a voluntary lowballing. In Colorado, we don't have a unified statewide building code. And so
What does that mean?
what that means is that we have general regulations for the state, but it's not mandated statewide. So, for example, at Cenco, I hold 67 licenses with 67 different jurisdictions to operate in our service area. And each of those jurisdictions has the right to either adopt or change their interpretation of the building code. And so it's very difficult for insurance carriers when they come out to evaluate damage to know what are the applicable building codes. They may have an adjuster on a catastrophe team come from Florida, for example.
Right.
He lands in Denver and says, I know what the Denver building code is. You send him 5 miles down the road and he's in Lakewood, Colorado, or Edgewater, Colorado, or Broomfield, Colorado, all of which triggers a different interpretation of those building codes. And so as a result, I can confidently say the insurance adjustment figures are 100% wrong 100% of the time because they don't take into account the ordinance and law or code provisions during the initial inspection. And that creates a lot of confusion for customers as well. Because we go back to that, the adjuster comes out and says, hey, you have damage, you need a roof, it's $10,000. And we come back to them and say, we agree, you need a roof. Started as $10,000, but you happen to live in Broomfield County. And Broomfield County requires A, B, and C. And actually, your roof replacement cost is $17,000. So there's a lot of going back and forth that happens in this segment of the business in order to make sure that A equals B equals C, and the customer and the insurance company and the contractor are in alignment with the scope of work that needs to be completed in order for that project to be built according to the building.
Very good. Now, we're not in the business of bashing any of your competitors, but do other roofing firms, do they know this information as well as you, or are licensed in these things? Is that routine?
I can't speak to the durability level, but to have a good customer experience, they need to do their research in advance and make sure that the people with whom they're working are going to be familiar with those and make sure that all of the items are taken care of. So the benefit of the homeowner, the insurance companies want everything done correctly. They put the job built to building code. Well, with 7,000 roofers, it is not infrequent that we find permits aren't pulled, for example, or codes are not adhered to. But in general, the market has responded, and most people who are reputable are able to help the customers in that way.
Okay. Well, very, very good. Now, if by chance something was done in a way that was not up to the local municipality codes, I don't know, could another insurance company is going to step in to now take over the homeowners, have it inspected and find that, like for us, it doesn't have the hurricane tie downs that you thought you had or whatever it would be, and be some surprise kind of situation that could occur.
It can and does. And we've seen that over the last 10 to 15 years as the market has evolved. In principle, during underwriting, insurance companies frequently don't have the manpower to do a physical inspection when they underwrite a new policy. So they assume that everything is going to be built in based on the research they've done, the permitting research. What we've seen in the last few years with the introduction of new technology and in order to manage risks, carriers have started to use drone technology. They've started to use some AI technologies around permitting, histories, et cetera, in order to identify potential issues in the underwriting process rather than that be exposed if in the event of a covered peril.
Got it. Got it. So it could be thought you had everything just fine until some, I don't know, act of God or some type of event occurred, and then you found out you have a couple of surprises. I guess that can happen. And I imagine it can happen with anything, but
We had that, for example, a few years ago in Boulder County. Boulder determined that wood shake roofing, which was fairly prevalent and has fallen out of favor in the last 15 to 20 years, but fairly prevalent. They wouldn't allow it any longer. So the fire risk changed for that area. And homeowners that had a wood shake roof from the county got a letter and said, hey, you have to change your roof by such and such a date. And insurance carriers will also do that based on wildfire risk.
got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so as far as the activity and everything you have going on, if you have what is like the customer journey? Like if someone were interested in finding out about getting a new roof or maybe even a repair of a roof, what does that process look like for you guys?
In terms of them reaching out to us
Yeah.
and how we market to customers. Well, we use a lot of tools to market to customers. As I said, there's a lot of noise. Fortunately, roofing is one of those things. There's also a lot of YouTube videos and documentation. So people can look at YouTube videos, develop some understanding of what that roofing process looks like. Generally, we market out to customers in the aftermath of natural disasters. We also do a substantial amount of marketing to not only directly to customers, but also to people that interact with people for whom the roof is a factor. So realtors, property managers, commercial managers, in order to let them know that we operate in their service area. We are licensed and insured to do the type of work that we do. The actual inspection process is very involved. The market itself has changed. We see a lot of drones coming into the marketplace and the use of that technology.
Mhm.
I'm a little bit old school. I like for myself and my field staff to put hands on to each of the roofs so that we can use tools, thermal imaging cameras, and other tools to properly identify areas of penetration, water, ice, and potential risks when we design a solution for a house.
Right. Something you may not get at a drone level, but kind of eyes on the roof type of thing. You could see these things.
Yeah,
Or find, yeah.
that's the way I think about it. But
It makes sense, right? So, when you look at what is going right in the company right now, like what do you feel is like we're really doing well in this particular area or
as I said, the way that we've been able to keep our overhead low and be able to accommodate rising costs is through the use of technology. And so, as a guy who's been in the business over 2 decades, it's amazing to me that a boutique roofing firm such as Cenco has tools available to them that are being used by multi-billion-dollar companies. So we can, at this current juncture, we can identify through the use of GPS photography and measurements. We can identify a house. We can give you a quote basically based on the GPS measurements and an understanding of where you live. We can identify what the replacement costs are going to be by month and by zip code for your particular home. That's been an amazing addition to the industry. When I first got started, as an anecdote I'll share with you, insurance companies were really worried about contractors duplicating digital photos. So we used to have to take Polaroid pictures and take them forward to a page and mail them into the carriers to substantiate the damage that we were claiming occurred in a particular house. And now that's all done digitally.
because you have the GPS and knows exactly where you are, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I could see that. I would probably want to have that if I was an insurance company, but boy, what a pain in the rear end that had to be.
It was an evolution for sure.
A shot from here, a shot from there, right? Okay. So it's like being in a car accident, you have an app and you take a couple pictures of your car and it could be somebody else's car, I guess is a possibility, but maybe that's GPS driven as well. Who knows?
Now, that industry has changed as well from my understanding.
Well, absolutely. So can you walk me through what it's like when a new lead comes into the company and they're interested in whatever the service would be? Just like what happens once they reach in?
Sure. So these days we talk about speed to lead and the need to be available for people to meet them when they need to be reached. And so we operate basically a 24/7 reception. So whether you call me Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 or Saturday at midnight, a law body will answer the phone and your information. Let us know if it's an emergency risk, i.e., are you currently experiencing a leak? If you are, then it gets involved, sent over to our production department, and we assign a crew and a project manager to come out and visit you at all hours. Otherwise, we set an appointment time that's convenient for the customer, and we come out and we evaluate the hands-on. We do a 72-point property inspection for each time that we visit a house, and we document what we see. We document that through the use of video and through the use of photographs, and we do it for reasons. The first is, if you are experiencing a problem, I want to be able to substantiate what that problem is, and I want to be able to design a solution to solve that problem for you permanently. The second reason is, if I come on and I don't find it, I want to give you that documentation as well, because it's a snapshot in time, both as a policyholder, if it were related to insurance, or as a homeowner, for example, during a real estate transaction. For example, this morning I was on the phone with a realtor and she's representing the seller. And the buyer had a roofer come out and say there is damage to the roof and it needs to be replaced as part of the sale. I had been to that house already and I have video evidence and photographic evidence showing there's nothing wrong with the roof at all. And so I prepared a report for her that demonstrated that. And she used that as part of the contract negotiations to squash the potential for having to pay for it.
Wow. So let's say I was going to sell my home, would it be wise to have you come out and just assess my roof in case this were to happen to me?
I would always recommend. And the part of the preparation for the sale process, because as a seller, if you're going to have something that you can foresee will come up in inspection, it's useful to have that identified in advance so you have a chance to rectify it. That way, if it's a $2,000 problem, you don't have a buyer asking you to replace the roof in its entirety.
Good. That does make quite a bit of sense. I, bought a few homes in my day and never actually had that thought. But fortunately, I got cornered into having to put a roof on to sell my home. But
I say this too, Sean. Nobody calls me because they want to talk to me.
No.
My voice
You're a nice guy, man. I don't know why. I just call you.
They call me because they have a problem. And so we really are in the problem solving business.
Mm-hmm.
The roofing. And we like to say that we provide peace of mind through roofing solutions. But really it's about identifying the problem and helping that particular customer to overcome.
It's very good. Very good. And all of it really makes sense. I think with roofs that we've had the tile roofs and went to shingle and those are, do you deal with any tile roofs?
We have the percent of the market in the Denver Front Range area is tile. So heavyweight concrete tile. So we do deal with that a significant amount.
Yeah, more and more in Florida, that phase is kind of waning out for many people. There used to be neighborhoods where you had to have those kinds of roofs or you couldn't live there. And it was like, how old is that roof? I think I'm going to go somewhere else to live.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. What geographic territory does your company represent? I know Central Colorado.
So it's Colorado. We run the whole Front Range from the border with Wyoming into Pueblo. We don't get called that far north or that far south as often. I'm usually by way of referral, but within a 90 to 100-mile range of Denver. The challenge with the Denver market is people say, oh, I work within a 50-mile circle. But within 40 miles of Denver, you have the Rocky Mountains. And so someone may call and say, hey, can you say, I'm only 40 miles from your office. Are you willing to come up here? And 40 miles could be in the wintertime a 2.5-hour drive. So
yeah, as the crow flies, so to speak, but not necessarily, right?
Correct. The other mitigating factor in Colorado is much of our construction standards are based on altitude. So I personally live in Evergreen, Colorado, which is about 72 to 7,400 feet of elevation. Denver, the mile-high city, is at about 5,200 feet. And each of those requires a different building standard. So we are able to do construction in all of those areas. It's significantly more expensive in the mountains due to some of the things that they go through.
So I live at like 32 feet. So
and you have your own set of issues, right?
We have our own set of issues. That's actually considered kind of high where we are, right? So when flooding comes here, like, I'm 32 feet up, man. I'm good, right? So
the deductibles reflect that. I mean,
it does reflect that. That is absolutely true. No doubt about it, right? Good. All right. So in your organization, what would you like to achieve in the next couple of years? What's the bigger plan?
3 to 5 year plan. And we're focused with several of our partners. We're really focused on operational efficiency. Again, I go back to the use of technology. To err is human. And many of the times when we go to find that there's a problem, it's a human problem. And what we look at in terms of operational efficiency is how can we eliminate the potential for errors
Right.
through the use of technology.
Right.
It used to be, and my phone would get filled, my voicemail would get filled, and I would try to keep up with the phones, and my voicemail would be full, and then people would be frustrated. Now we don't have that particular issue. It's about the data properly entered. Can we be reached at all times? Portal or a way for us to demonstrate ongoing steps and ongoing progress for our customers. And that remains where we're focused so that customers can have feedback the way that they want it, when they want it, on the project for which we're engaged.
Very good. Yeah, it's an interesting thing when it comes to technology. You kind of can run into a love-hate situation until you found something that made life get a lot easier. I didn't even know that was possible.
So it's linear for our organization. For any organization, it's not.
Yeah.
We made the decision to change technology platforms about a year and a half ago. And quite frankly, that's been a painful process. As a result, last year's feedback from customers, any of the feedback that wasn't 5-star was about complications from that technology platform.
Oh, no.
So we have spent now the last 6 months with a new platform, making sure that those problems would not reemerge and that we continue to provide a positive customer experience for the people that engage us.
That's good. Because it's kind of like the outward face of the company, even though it's not a face, right?
It really is. It really, I mean, specifically our text messaging capability went down.
Right.
Development and adoption cycle. And so normally we have 32 points of contact for a customer, and that went away for a period of 6 months. And so those customers that we worked with during that time didn't have the benefit of those updates, and which they now do again. So
Well, good.
yeah.
Good. Yeah, it's just kind of at times a bit of a scary thing, to try something new. But, when you can have a person on your team, or maybe it's you, that, you kind of like, you're like the Wizard of Oz. You can pull all the levers and you know all the things and you can handle all stuff. But then when you're not there, like, how do we unload what you have in your brain into something that others could follow, right? That could streamline activity. Because sometimes we're bottlenecking a lot of businesses is we'll get to a point where our growth got up to the point where I can't be down in the organization as much. I have to be more on top of it because there's too much firefighting that goes on during the course of the day of dealing with certain situations. So technology, it's good that you're embracing it. Definitely makes a difference. It moves the needle. It allows also better customer service, and it allows you to leverage your personnel in places where you really need them and make a difference. So that's good. That's good. Yeah.
So
Now, what do you find in your business right now that you'd like to see, like you'd really want to get on the other side of to get to the higher goal in the next 3 to 5 years?
So I'll stay on the theme of technology. I would be naive to think that our industry is static. But again, it's amazing to me from Polaroids to the use of AI now, and that is speeding up the process for customers. And also it requires us to be conversant and be able to manage that process. So there are roles that have been traditional roles in our industry since I've been in it that are slowly going away. So you referenced insurance before. We used to physically with an adjuster. And now insurance companies are sending out basically documentation teams, frequently with the use of drones. And the adjuster has either sent that data remotely or has a live feed from the field for the documenter. But it's no longer a human interaction. It's being replaced by technology.
Right, where they could ask a question if there were boots on the ground and you could answer it, and they could, I see what you got going on here. That makes sense. Where they just have to look and decide.
Correct.
It's good and it's bad, right? It has its pluses and minuses. It's just about with any of that kind of stuff, right?
It does. For the least foreseeable future, I think the actual shingling will always be done by humans. Although I will say they have released a tool that will shingle now.
Yeah.
And that takes off.
Yeah. I was at an AI conference this past weekend, and one of the guys that was up on stage said, I always say when he's talking to Chat GPT or whatever the thing is, please and thank you, because someday they'll be controlling us, and I want to be known as a nice guy. So, I'm not, no advocate for that whatsoever, but, there are certain things, and really what the business that you're in is definitely one that I just really don't think you could get that replaced.
Not in my career.
Yeah.
I don't know the future. The
Yeah.
technology has informed our building decisions, but at the end of the day, we still have to swing a hammer to do what we do.
Absolutely. So there's some stability and some for those people who take on the profession of roofing.
Oh
You know,
yeah, absolutely say that, and that is certainly true.
right. So are you noticing? Because I've had a talk with other people in roofing businesses. Have you noticed that it's challenging to find roofers for you to work for you?
I would say this: there has been a stigma for as long as I've been in the industry about the trades. And so, our education system in the United States is very heavily focused on a 4-year degree,
That's right.
and for a reason, and that's commendable. But there are a lot of candidates for whom that's not a good fit, who can make a healthy, not only living, but a career in the trades. And so it's encouraging for me to see programs in the Denver metro area that expose kids to work in the trades and careers in the trades. One of our charitable partners is a general contractor that we work with on a charity function.
Mhm.
And said that unless you've introduced the trades to children when they're in elementary and middle school, you don't have an uptick for them in their willingness to do that. We do have, at the university level, we have some solid construction management programs in Colorado for candidates. The actual labor itself, I would say we as a company have not had a lot of challenge. Full disclosure, my background is in anthropology, and so, we use social networks. We use a lot of tools to not only retain, but also to train our labor force so that they can continue to see a value in working not only in the trades, but also at Cenco.
Smart. And that there's something that the company brings that's more valuable than just get to work, right? We're
Right?
making you better, right?
Right. And
Yeah, when I was in school, like high school, like we had vocational programs, and I don't think we're seeing as many of those types of things. But boy, I tell you, those kids that came out of those programs got good jobs pretty quickly. Whereas most people that go off to college come out with a $200,000 school loan and may not be able to get a job, right? That could pay the loan, let
you're
alone live.
flying there, Sean, because that's the fastest growing debt sector in the country still. And the trades are still a viable means for people, as I said, not only to make a living, but to really grow a career and consistently be able to advance not only themselves, but also their families.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my background's in healthcare. I'm a physical therapist by training, right? And we mentioned that before on another earlier call. But, I had my son decided to change the outlets in his bathroom. All right, no big deal. But somehow he did it in a way that they all didn't work after that. So, so I had to bring an electrician in. He was there for 4 or 5 minutes, $250, walked out the door. I wrote him a check, not necessarily happily. I didn't make a big stink out of it. I'm like, there's nothing in healthcare where you're going to get $250 for 5 minutes. It's like nothing, right? And you're like, wow, he was professional. He was competent. He was nice. It was all the things, checked off all the boxes, real pro in everything he did. But woo, $250 for a 5 minute call, right?
Uh,
And
and I frequently have to say to people, and they're like, well, why is this so expensive? You're not necessarily paying for the material and labor. It's paying for me to know the 24 years of knowledge I've brought to be able to identify and settle this in one fell swoop in a way that does not require replacement of your entire.
That's right. That's right. I mean, that's what you do pay for. And when you need it and you can't do it, it's invaluable, right? So yeah, I think there's a lot of honor in the trades. Always have felt that way. I'm not mechanically inclined. I'm sorry to say, not at all. I remember one of my cars I had this Nissan Maxima, and I take it to like a Jiffy Lube because I didn't know how to change my oil. And the guy goes, "Oh, nice car." He goes, "What do you got under the hood?" And I go, "I'm going to stick my neck out and say an engine. Why don't we take a look?" Right? And so my wife is way more handy than I am, I'm sorry to say. So hats off, a lot of admiration for anybody in the trades to, and then also all the things that you have to know for all the different types of roofs and situations and municipalities, and make sure you cover all the bases and provide just the most ideal experience for your customers,
Share this statistic because it is something that we share with consumers as well. The failure rate for roofing companies in the first 24 months is 96%. And it has nothing to do with being able to swing the hammer properly. It has to do with being able to run the engine, the company behind the installers. And so people will frequently say, "Hey, you're higher than Chuck in a Truck or Joe Blow Roofing that we call." And I say, "Yes, I am." And that's because we intend and we will be here for you
Mhm.
when that roof has a problem down the road. And that is a longer vision horizon for customers, and it's important for them to know. So we frequently are we pick up the phone and we're, hey, I have a roofing problem. I had a guy out here. I went with a low bid. And can you come out and see if you can fix it? And sometimes we can, and sometimes it's not good news for them.
You have to kind of stand behind your operational integrity and what the product is that you put out, because word does travel, good and or bad, right? Yeah. And if you want a roof that might give you trouble down the road, he's a great guy to work with. But I'm not saying I would recommend saying those types of things, because we don't want to bash competition. But I totally understand what you're saying. I have seen it, and many times, I mean, even in things with our home with getting new roofs, you get 3 wildly variable quotes, and then you dig in a little bit more, and you find out the one guy has one truck, and it's got 3 guys, and it's like, yeah, I can get it. If I had a guy maybe taking a tree out of my backyard, I'd probably pick him, right? But not to put a roof on my home. I don't think so.
Most expensive exterior component of the home, and for most people, their home is not only their most expensive investment, but it's also their inner sanctum where they raise their families, create memories. And so that's something that we take into account when we make recommendations on solutions. We don't recommend a Band-Aid for something that is going to create a problem further down the road.
Very good. Very good. So, Matt, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're very busy to hop on here and share the success of Cenco Roofing and what you've been able to create with your company, how you see technology being a supportive role in helping you do what you do, but it doesn't take away the relationship between a person, a customer, and their roof. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean.